I have paid as much as $400 for application to one school. Harvard is not for everybody. 94.1%. So for every 100 students that apply, they accept 94. Without funding, you might not come here, except you're from a very wealthy family and you can afford about $30,000 to $100,000 every year. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be sharing the 5 important things you should consider when choosing a US university that's best for you. At the end of this video, you have the complete template to build your ideal list of 8 schools alongside a list of 300 schools to choose from. These are the things I wish I knew about 5 years ago when I started my whole application journey of studying abroad. It would have saved me about $500 in fees. That's application fees and test fees. $500, that's almost the price of an iPhone 13. Almost. Okay. Let's jump right in. Number 5, the location of the school. The important questions to ask here are: is the school located in an urban, suburban, or a rural area? Then how is the climate like? Is it warm and sunny or cold and snowy? And then if you have family here, is the school close to them or is it a bit far? These questions are important because, first of all, job applications aren't easy. Yes, US is the land of opportunities and there are so many jobs here, but nothing good comes easy. I applied to over 200 jobs before I got the one I'm currently working in now for my OPT. Watch out for my detailed video on that. An easy way to expedite this process is the location of your school. Now, career fairs are usually held every semester, and then you have companies coming to find potential hires. If your school is in a city or close to it, you have the big companies coming, like Google, Facebook, and all those big companies coming for your career fair. But my school is in a rural area, and so we had companies like construction companies, health companies, and the likes that came for our career fairs. I attended every career fair that held when I was schooling, and I usually found only like 1 or 2 companies that had roles I was interested in out of like 200 that came for those career fairs. Climate is important too. You know, it's not everyone that would enjoy the winter after growing up in a country that's as hot as Nigeria. Some people can, but actually not everyone. Now, some of you might be saying, forget that thing. I just want to japa. But let me tell you something. Japa is guaranteed provided you do 2 things. Number 1, get the right knowledge, which I'm using this channel to bring you the best on. And then number 2, your persistence. If we know now that Japa is guaranteed, why don't you now Japa gallantly into a place, a city that is best for you? Quick rule of thumb that can guide you in this climate thing is the US map. Now let's jump on my system. The higher you go, actually, the colder it becomes. Florida is the hottest state. They actually don't have winter there. You have a lot of people traveling down over there in the winter, then they come back to like their states in the summer, especially people that work like remotely from home. And then Minnesota and North Dakota are the coldest states. So these states get really, really cold in the winter. I won't give you a state of preference because there are about 50 states, and then none is better than the other. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. But I just want you to have this climate thing in mind as you're choosing the US university that you go to. But more important than the location of the school is the reputation of the school. First things first, Harvard is not for everybody. Or let me speak for myself. After all, I'm alone here. I don't want to go to Harvard. The pressure there is way too much, and I don't want to be just caged to doing only academic things. Yeah, the expectations are a lot, and so what do you expect? The pressure will also be a lot. I'm not sure if I went to Harvard, I'll have the time to do this YouTube channel consistently. US has a lot of schools. Specifically, the US Department of Education says that there are 4,000 colleges and universities. That's a lot. There are so many rankings online of these institutions, but the one I use is the Carnegie classification of institutions of higher education. There's several classifications there, but I focus on the doctoral research section since that's your selling point in visa interview, especially for Nigerians. But this also works for masters. So majorly there are two classifications. We have R1 universities, which means very high research activity, and R2 universities, which is high research activity. It's just very, that was removed. Of course, it's much more than that. They're able to quantify it with numbers. Any in both categories is fine actually. BGSU, where I finished from, is actually an R2 university. So I won't give you a proportion of how you mix the schools, but aim to have more of R1 universities in your mix. This PDF has a list of about 300 universities across both categories. You can download it with the link in the description. Another thing to check is the acceptance rates. Now, every school in the US has an acceptance rate which you can check on Google. So let's jump on my system real quick and check some schools out. Okay, so I just want to check R1 universities. We'll start with the most popular, Harvard University acceptance rate. As you can see, this is 5%. So for every 100 students that apply, they only accept 5. All right, let's check New York University. So New York University acceptance rate, that's 21.1%. Okay, which is good. Let's check Michigan State University, 76.3%. And it's an R1 university. All right, let's check one more. Kansas State University. Let's check Kansas State University, 94.1%. Why have you not applied again? Oh wow, that's a lot. So for every 100 students that apply, they accept 94. That's plenty. Okay, a little conversion to make. I actually pre-checked all these 4 schools before shooting this video to show you that R1 universities could even have high acceptance rates. So if your application packet isn't so strong, maybe you didn't come out with a first class or a high 2-1, or something else in your application package is not so strong, aim for 6 out of your 8 schools to have an acceptance rate of 60% or more. Now I've shown you 2 already. Just choose schools that are best for you. In 2017, I wrote the GRE maths, the subject test. It's different from the general GRE test. Why did I write it? Because it's a requirement for PhD in maths in Harvard. Maybe that's why you see I speak about Harvard a lot, because I actually wanted to go there, even though now I'm happy I didn't. I wrote the exam in Benin, and I was alone on that day writing the exam. It's something I would have completely avoided if I saw a video like this. By the way, if the points I've shared so far has really been helpful, please give this video a like. Please smash the like button. That button gives me a lot of morale. Yeah, please. Thank you very much. Coming up at point number 3 is the application process. Now, your application can be very expensive, or it can even be cheap. I have paid as much as $400 for application to one school that you're not even sure of if you get admission, while some others I have applied free of charge. If you convert that $400 to Naira, you see how expensive it is, and you can even see it on the screen. But then I'll tell you at the end of this video if it was actually worth it. What are the things they require? Do they need my official transcript straight from the school, or can I submit my own official transcript during the application and they're okay with that? Another thing to consider is how much is the application fee. Although on this one there are ways to waive it, so it's free of charge. Watch out for my dedicated video of that dropping soon. This is also a good time to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you'll see when that video drops, and many others I have in the pipeline for you. Are there extra essays or proposals to write aside from the standard SOP, statement of purpose? Do you have to write standardized tests like GRE? These are things to consider so you know how much you are budgeting and the schools you're applying to. So number 2, your life goals. Remember I mentioned earlier that you definitely jackpot if you have 2 things: 1, the right knowledge, and 2, persistence. So since you jackpot, why don't you do so in a field, in an area that will give you fulfillment and the future you desire? You have to ask yourself, what course do you want to study? It mustn't be what you did in your first degree. I studied maths in my bachelor's, applied statistics in my master's, and now data science in my PhD. So it mustn't be what you studied in your first degree. Don't mind we're related. Some people do courses that are completely unrelated, just like psychology in bachelor's and then IT, information technology, at PhD. Now that's very possible in the US. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see a video on switching degrees in the US. You also want to check the ranking of your course. Now check on Google, check on YouTube, check the school's website. You want to know how good your program is among similar programs in the US. And then number 1, money. Personally, I don't think getting admission is difficult. I applied to schools every year since 2018 when I started, and I always got admission. Not from all the schools though, but every year I always got admission, but some of them didn't come with funding. Now funding is different from scholarship. In funding, you're working for the money. As a graduate assistant or research assistant, you're working for the money. But in scholarship, you're not working for the money, so it's like free money that's given to you. In US over here, we have more of funding than scholarship. You can get admission into your dream school, but without funding, you might not come here, except you're from a very wealthy family and you can afford about $30,000 to $100,000 every year, depending on the school that you're going to. You have to check for the available funding. Do they give tuition scholarships or graduate assistantships? If your graduate assistantship covers your bills alongside your living expenses, that's what we call a fully funded admission. Please ignore those need-based or merit-based scholarship. They are helpful, but they're not enough to cover your tuition. Yeah, not waiting they find. Please ignore them. If you've reached this point of the video, please comment with this 4-leaf clover emoji. I really appreciate you for staying up until this point. You're the reason, you're the motivation I have to continue creating videos. The best way to describe this money point is a lever. So on one side of the lever, we have the funding, and on the other side, we have the cost of living. For cost of living, you have to consider the big fish, which is the rent. Now, other things like food, groceries, transportation, you should be able to handle wherever you are. The rent can range from as little as $250 per month. Some people, I guess, they even pay lesser, to as high as $1,500 per month per person. And this is in a shared apartment, so you are living with like one person in a 2-bed or 2 people in a 3-bed, that kind of thing. A sure way to check is to go on Facebook Marketplace and change your location to where your school is. Set it to 5 miles and then check out the prices for the kind of apartment you want. The most popular apartments international students stay in are like 2-bed, 2-bath, 3-bed, 2-bath. Remember that $400 application I told you about? It was actually worth it because I got a fully funded admission from it. But if there were things I knew earlier, I would have reduced that application fee that I paid. Yes, and then I shared my whole journey of making that application in this video, which you want to watch next. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see videos that will help you transit over here and also make the best of your stay here. You can hit that red button below, and then I'll see you in the next video. Bye.